Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari
Thank you. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashrutasha Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Pravikacharya Ashrutasha Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se He Ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Anatakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Irdayet Nasta Preyo Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we'll be reading from 6th Canto, Chapter 15, Text 16. If you could repeat after me. Tasmad Yuvam Gramya Pashor Mama Muda Diya Prabhu Ande Tasami Jagnasya Jnana Deepa Udiryatam Tasmad Yuvam Gramya Pashor Mama Muda Diya Prabhu Andetamasi Nagyasya Jnana Deepa Urdiryayad Idam Tasmad Yuvam Gramya Pashor Mama Muda Diya Prabhu Andetamasi Magyasya Jnana Deepa Udiryatam Tasmad Yuvam Gramya Pashor Mama Muda Diya Prabhu Andetamasi Magyasya Jnana Deepa Udiryatam. Jnana Deepa Udiryatam.
Tasmadivam Gramya Pasho Mamamudhadiya Prabhu Andhe Tamasi Magnasya Jnanadeepa Udiryatam Tasmadivam Gramya Pasho Mamamudhadiya Prabhu Andhe Tamasi Magnasya
Anyone else would like to try? Ishtadev.
Tasmad yuvam gramya pashur.
Tasmad yuvam gramya pashur.
Mama mudadiya prabhu. Ande tamasi magnasya. Yanadipa udiryatam.
Anyone else?
Tasmad yuvam gramya pashur.
Tasmad yuvam gramya pashur.
Mama muta kya prabhu. Mama muta diya prabhu. Ante tamasi magnasya. Ante tamasi magnasya. Yanadipa tiryatam. Yanadipa udiryatam.
Would you like to try? Okay. Tasmat. Therefore, yuvam, both of you, gramya pashoho, of an animal like a hog, pig or dog. Mama, me, mudadiyaha, who am very foolish, due to having no spiritual knowledge. Prabhu, all my two lords, ande, and blind, tamasi, darkness, magnasya, of one who is absorbed, jnanadipaha, the torchlight of knowledge, udiryatam, let it be ignited. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because you are great personalities, you can give me real knowledge. I am as foolish as a village animal, like a pig or dog, because I am merged in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, please ignite the torch of knowledge to save me. Purport. This is the way to receive knowledge. One must submit oneself at the lotus feet of great personalities who can actually deliver transcendental knowledge. It is therefore said, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. One who is inquisitive to understand the highest goal and benefit of life must approach a bona fide spiritual master and surrender unto him. Only one who is actually eager to receive knowledge to eradicate the darkness of ignorance is eligible to approach a guru or spiritual master. The guru should not be approached for material benefits. One should not approach a guru just to cure some disease or receive some miraculous benefit. This is not the way to approach the guru. Tad Vigyartam. One should approach the guru to understand the transcendental signs of spiritual life. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are many bogus gurus who display magic to their disciples, and many foolish disciples want to see such magic for material benefits. These disciples are not interested in pursuing spiritual life to save themselves from the darkness of ignorance. It is said, those that know this can chant together. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. This gives a definition of the Guru. Everyone is in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, everyone needs to be enlightened with transcendental knowledge. One who enlightens his disciple and saves him from rotting in the darkness of ignorance in this material world is a true Guru. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gita Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganara Gunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hare Pre Vancha Kalpataribhyascha Kripa Sundabhi Evacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse, it describes the real process of receiving knowledge, real knowledge. And Srila Prabhupada's first sentence at the purport is so nice. This is the way to receive knowledge. One must submit oneself at the lotus feet of great personalities who can actually deliver transcendental knowledge. And there's many great examples in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially the Bhagavad Gita. And two of those personalities that come to mind is Sanatana Goswami and Arjuna himself, that was receiving the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. There was a young man at Balboa Park, and he was interested in getting the Bhagavad Gita. He said he grew up Christian, but there was other things he wanted to learn about, like karma, is there a life after death? And he told me that the Bible itself, it was not sufficient. So I told him about the Bhagavad Gita, and he said, can you explain a little bit more of the Bhagavad Gita? And I said, this Bhagavad Gita, it's a life manual. And I told him it's a guidebook on how to live in this world and how to leave this world. And he said, that's very interesting. So I told him that Arjuna, although he was a very great warrior, we cannot compare to him. He heard this from Krishna himself, but this knowledge, we're receiving it, just like Sanjaya. Sanjaya, he wasn't there at the battlefield, but due to his spiritual master, he was able to see the battlefield as if he were there and transmitted this knowledge to the blind king, Dhritarashtra. So I told him that the Bhagavad Gita, it helps us when we're in our difficulties, when we go through crises, like Arjuna, right? He said, now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you, Krishna, to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Srila Prabhupada would always make this point that we cannot approach someone in a challenging way. We have to be humble, submissive. And Srila Prabhupada, he explained that when Arjuna was refusing to fight, he was worried about his kinsmen, it was about his teacher, his family. And Srila Prabhupada, he says this was a weakness of heart. So all of us, I can speak for myself, my heart has truly softened, right? And so the Bhagavad Gita explains how the soul is different from the body. When I first read Bhagavad Gita, I was so amazed at this statement. His Grace, Balaram Prabhu, myself, and I think Jamal, maybe one other person, we went to that Catholic school, and Balaram wrote in big letters, "You are not the body, you are pure spirit soul." And Balaram explained that when Balaram read that, he himself was very fascinated by this knowledge. So I was telling him, this young man, that we're actually different from the body. Just like when we say my hand, my leg, my mind, we never say I body, I finger, we say my hand. And so the word my, it implies ownership. Like this podium is different from me. So it's my podium, like that. So who is that I that's thinking my? So I was explaining to him that this is the living entity, the soul. He's the possessor of the body. But within the body, there's another soul, the Paramatma. So I showed him the science of self-realization. And I said, this Paramatma is within all of our hearts, and it's even within the atom. And he was saying, wow, the atom? I said, yes, this is God. So he was very pleased by the answer. And Sanatana Goswami, when he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was the first thing that he did? Dravida Prabhu?
You mean after he left the...
Well, I'm thinking of when he put the straw in his mouth and he surrendered and he asked, "Who am I and why am I suffering? If I'm such a great scholar, why didn't I know that?" Something like that. Surrendered. He surrendered.
Surrender. He took that humble position. In material, you can say, in the material sense, he was very learned. He knew so many languages. He was very wealthy. He was basically the right hand of the government. But he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "I'm a fool. I don't know who am I. What is the goal of life? I'm surrounded by so many people that are calling me learned, but I don't think I'm very learned because I don't know these important questions." So Sanatana Goswami, he took a straw in his teeth and he fell down and he clasped Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet and he started inquiring questions. And also in the purport, it says, "One who is actually eager to receive knowledge to eradicate the darkness of ignorance is eligible to approach a guru or spiritual master." So someone must be ready to receive this knowledge. Just like if you have a very good and fertile seed and you plant it in the ground or the soil, but the soil is barren, then what is the use of the seed? The seed will be very great, but due to the land or the soil, it will not grow. So similarly, there's so many people that are hearing Bhagavad Gita from great devotees like Srila Prabhupada, but they're not turning into devotees because they're not ready to accept this knowledge yet. And yesterday, Dharma Setu Prabhu, he was talking about the 4 types of people that don't surrender to Krishna. Those that are grossly foolish, those that are lowest of mankind, those that are atheistic, and those whose knowledge has been stolen by illusion. So I'll talk about the 4 types of pious people that do surrender to Krishna or who come to Krishna. Chakshur Vida Bhajante Mam. Chatur Vida Bhajante Mam Jnana Sukritino Arjunam Artuk Jagyasur Artati Jnanicha Bharata Sabha. O best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men began to render devotional service unto me. And those are the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. And I remember when I was traveling to India with my spiritual master, His Holiness Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj, people would always ask me for blessings, right? And Maharaj's question would be, and what are those blessings, right? And you can see they're not interested in Krishna consciousness. They're not interested in helping their children become devotees. They're, what it says to cure some disease or receive some miraculous benefit. So those devotees, especially in the sannyas order, they'll be, what's the right word, harassed by many people from India. And they'll ask these sannyasis, please give me a blessing, but they don't know what type of blessing they should have. Just like the example, if someone is drowning and you give him a 2-ton lead weight, that's not helping him. He's going to drown. So similarly, people may ask for benedictions from these highly elevated personalities, but they don't know what to ask for. And in Balboa Park, people are looking for something. They're looking for restaurants, they're looking for gardens, they're looking for museums, they're looking for something. And most of the time, people want change, right? Change in workplace, change of fashion, change in cars, change in partners, change in sex, meaning gender. So people are looking for change, but what they're actually looking for is a transformation. And an example of this is, if we look at ourselves, before Krishna consciousness, Dvija Mani and I, we were reading and we're discussing how the hellish planets, right? And whatever you break from the injunctions of the scriptures, you go to a certain type of hell. And I was telling Dvija Mani Prabhu that, man, we'd be suffering so much, right? Just by not even offering our food to Krishna, there's a reaction for that. And so people are looking for change, but they don't know what they're looking for. They're looking for a partner who will, you can say, satisfy them, who will please them, who will not leave them. They're looking for a place to live. They're looking for some type of work, but they're looking for Krishna, their best friend. They're looking for Goloka Vrindavan, and they're looking for devotional service. But they don't know that. And so I'll tell this story. There was a boy who posted a video online, his first time. 99 likes, right? He was so happy. One day he went on his computer and there was one thumbs down, and he became obsessed with that. So he was asking his parents, why did this person put a thumbs down? Why didn't he like my video? So his parents told him, son, there's 99 people who liked your video. But he was so adamant about that one dislike. So similarly, the mind plays a lot of tricks like that. It says that the mind is dissatisfied with what we have, and it finds dissatisfaction in what we do have, like that. So similarly, there was one person in the Mahabharata. Before the war, there was a meeting with the Kauravas. And Bhishma, he would rate the different warriors according to their abilities. Dronacharya, Ashwatthama, they would be called Maharathas. And someone who can kill soldiers at a time, thousands of soldiers at a time. And when it came to Karna, he was actually almost, some devotees, they say he was better than Arjuna. But when it came to Karna, Bhishma rated him as half a Rati. And he went wild, he went crazy. He said, what do you mean I'm half a Rati, So Bhishma Dev explained to him that you're cursed by your guru, Paushurama, that in the critical moment, in the biggest war that you'll fight, you'll lose all your knowledge. Not only that, but he also gave his armor to Krishna, I think. So Bhishma told him, this battle of Kurukshetra is the biggest battle, but when we need you the most, you become useless. So Karna, that was when he said, I will not fight as long as Bhishma is on the battlefield. So anyway, so he couldn't handle this rating of, because a lot of people, they're looking for likes, right? How many likes do I get? How many people comment? How many views? This is Kali Yuga. People are looking for approval from others. So in human society, there are 4 types of mentalities. There's a win-lose mentality, meaning if I have to win, I have to put you down. And this is the Kali Yuga. Most people are thinking like that. And then there's a lose-lose. If I lose, I have to bring you down with me. This devotee, he was explaining that there's some parts in India where they collect crabs. They put them in a bucket. And all of the crabs are alive, but no crab gets out. Do you know why? Yeah. When one crab is holding on, there's another crab that pulls him and everyone else pulls him down. So similarly, there's these people like that. I don't want you to be successful. If I'm not going to be successful, I don't want you to be successful also. And then there's the lose and then win. I'm willing to sacrifice my own for you to move forward. And this is a good mentality. It's a selfless mentality. But sometimes these people, they become, what they call them, doormats. Yeah, But the 4th type of mentality is the best, which is a win-win. Not only do I win, but I also want you to win with me. So the devotees, that should be our view on life. We want everyone to succeed. We want everyone to advance in devotional service. We want everyone to come to Krishna. But we actually want to push them further than us. And they say if you try to make everyone happy, there will be one person that won't be happy, and that's you. You can't please everyone. And if you try to please everyone, by yourself, you get burned out, And we know one devotee here, I'm not going to name him. He does so much service at the temple, but he burns himself. And sometimes the services that he does is actually hurtful to his relationship with the devotees. And so how can one be happy with himself? That depends on his inner consciousness, right? And so the more you focus on contribution, the less you have to think about yourself, so service. Just like yesterday, I was doing some, maintenance here. There's a big chair in front of the temple, and I was trying to see if we can use that as a vyasa. I'm just kidding. But it's a big, heavy chair, and someone donated it, but no one wanted it here, so I had to bring it back to the alleyway. And within an hour, it was gone. So similarly, people look at our service attitude, Just like if you see all these great personalities, they were not very handsome or good looking. Mother Teresa, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi. In material calculations, they were not very pretty or beautiful. But what they did for human society, that created a revolution. And so people, we need to focus on what we have done. How did we leave a legacy? Things like that. And old people, you see them in the park as well. Some of them are even still getting married, like 60 plus. Yeah, they're holding hands. And I was asking one couple at Balboa Park. I said, "Excuse me, is it your son's wedding?" I said, "No, it's our wedding." I was like, "Wow, okay." And they don't know that at the time of death they have to be separated. So they're looking and wandering, and they feel some emptiness in their heart. They have to either be with someone, they have to feel like they're appreciated, and so they're trying to fill their life with nonsensical things. And I remember I was asking this one person, he was very jolly, So I asked him, "Are you happy?" And he put his cup down and he looked me in the eye and he said, "I'm not." So people open up when you ask these types of questions. People may have a big house, they may have a fancy car, they may have money in the bank, but when you ask them, "Are you satisfied?" most of them will be honest and they'll say no. Chanaka Pandit, he describes someone who's happy and says a man that doesn't leave his house, he's happy, and one who's not a debtor. So the devotees, we're not going to Balboa Park to sightsee. We're not there to look for a date. We're not there to get some type of recognition. We're there trying to reach out to people. And I remember a few years ago, before COVID, we would go there every Saturday for Harinam. So anyone that hears the holy name, they benefit from it. And there was this Matsuji in Balboa Park, and she asked me, "Do you guys still do the singing in Balboa Park?" So she wanted to know. And I smiled and I said, "You can come to our temple. We're always chanting." So I invited her to the temple. But when people hear the holy name, it's something wonderful, like what Maharaj says, something wonderful. So we should focus on services other than ourselves. And I'll tell this another story. There was a king, it was his birthday. And he wanted to do something for his birthday. So he said, the first person that I meet in the morning, I'm going to try to please him. I'm going to try to satisfy him. So when he was walking, he met a beggar on the street. And he gave him a copper coin. This beggar was so happy. He was jumping, he was turning around, he was yelling. He said, "Wow, this is so wonderful." And as he was too much excited, he dropped the coin in the gutter. So the king gave him another copper coin, and he did the same thing. But still, he went in the gutter and he was trying to get that coin. And the king was a little bewildered. He said, "I'm going to give you a silver coin." So he did the same thing. He was jumping, he was yelling, he was very happy. Still, he went to the gutter and he was trying to reach for that copper coin, that first coin. And so the king, he said, "What are you doing? I'm going to give you this gold coin." So he did the same thing. He was twirling, he was singing. And then he was still trying to get in the gutter to get that copper coin. So the king, he was very frustrated. He said, "Here, take this bag of gold coins." And the beggar, he said something. He said, no matter how much you give me, till the coin in the gutter comes out, I will not be happy. So similarly, our mind is like that. We have everything here at the temple, but sometimes due to association, due to weakness of heart, due to the three modes of nature, a devotee leaves the temple, and he goes back. So the mind has a tendency to be satisfied with what he has, right? This beggar has gold coins. He can easily replace that iron coin, but he's not satisfied. He wants to get that first coin. And so there's two types of change. There's material change and then there's spiritual change. A material change is reversible, meaning, a change of house, you can go back to an apartment. A change in car, you can even have a newer car or a lesser car or even sometimes no car at all. Things like that. But a spiritual change, that's called transformation, and that's irreversible. An example is like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. That butterfly cannot go back to a caterpillar. So similarly, the devotees, we made so much changes and progress practicing Krishna consciousness. So we shouldn't want to go back to the person who we were before Krishna consciousness. Okay, so there's a story that I like. Do you guys know the story of the camel in the tent? No? Okay. So this represents Maya, or false ego, envy, like that. So there was a camel and its owner, and they were setting up for the night. And it became very cold. So the man was in the tent all by himself. So the camel said, it's very cold out here. Can I go in? And he said, no, you can't. So just let me put my nose in, right? So he put his nose in the tent. When he woke up, his mouth was in the tent. And said, what are you doing? He said, it's very cold, My neck is cold. Can I just put my neck? So he put his neck in the tent. So when the owner woke up, his shoulder was in the tent. He said, I'm sorry, it's very cold outside. Can I put my legs in there? So slowly, the camel actually took over the tent. So similarly, Maya is like that. When we give an inch to Maya, we don't know. It can start off by, a simple gesture to a woman, And next thing you know, you develop attraction, and then you start having thoughts, maybe we'll make a good couple, right? So that's like the camel in the tent. It starts off little, and eventually the whole thing takes over. So the highest perfection of life is to have Krishna, and also to reawaken our dormant love for him. And I'll end with a song by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So he's describing what he went through in life. I think you guys will know this. So I'll just read the translation. It says, O Lord, forgetting you and coming to this material world, I have experienced a host of sins and sorrows. Now I approach you, your lotus feet, and submit my tale of woe. While I was bound up tightly in the unbearable confines of my mother's womb, O Lord, you once revealed yourself before me. After appearing briefly, you abandoned this poor servant of yours. At that moment, I thought, after my birth this time, I will surely worship you with undivided attention. But alas, after taking birth, I fell into the entangling network of worldly illusions. Thus I possessed not even a drop of true knowledge. As a dear son fondled in the laps of attentive relatives, I passed my time smiling and laughing. The affection of my father and mother helped me forget you still more, and I began to think that the material world was a very nice place. Day by day, I gradually grew into a young boy and began playing with other boys. Soon my powers of understanding emerged, so I diligently studied my school lessons every day. Proud of my accomplished education, I later traveled from place to place and earned much wealth. thereby maintaining my family with undivided attention. I forgot you, O Lord Hari. Now in old age, this Bhakti Vinod very sadly weeps as death approaches. I failed to worship you, O Lord, and instead passed my days in vain. What will be my fate now? It's a nice poem, song. So when we came into this material world, that was when we forgot Krishna, and we started trying to enjoy this material world. So similarly, we can imagine those people that haven't even had a chance to serve Krishna or his devotees. And we can imagine the punishments that they're in by Yamaraj. And Yamaraj is looking for these people, one whose tongues have not used to vibrate the holy names of Krishna, whose feet have not entered the temple of Krishna, things like that. And I remember, excuse me. So I'll end with a few Sankirtan stories. I was talking to some people. He was a car salesman. So I was telling him how people are trying to buy happiness. And later he said, I sell people their happiness. Right? A car. So I smiled and I laughed and I said, here, you take this book, young man. And I told him, I'm selling you your happiness, like that. So it was a nice exchange, but it was funny how he understood that, you know. He's selling people something that they don't need, but they think that will make them happy. And after...
Did you give him the Hiding in Unnatural Happiness?
I didn't give him that book. I gave him the set and Bhagavad Gita. But it was amazing how he understood how easy people can be convinced, right? You need this, you need that. But the devotees were convincing them that you're not happy. So take this book. And so there was these two Matajis. They walked past me and they were kind of laughing. So I didn't know what they were laughing about. After they went to the gardens, they came back. I said, hi, thank you for coming to my table. Can I help you? I said, can you tell me about these books? So I was explaining the different books that we had. So long story short, both of them took 2 sets of books. They each took a Bhagavad Gita. And then the girl said, this is wonderful. I'm going to give this to my boyfriend. And I asked her, does your boyfriend like to read? He said he gave me a specific instruction. He said, when you go, because I think they were traveling for work. She said, my boyfriend told me, when you go traveling, don't give me a shirt, give me a book, right? Because people have, you know, they buy San Diego shirts, merchandise, things like that, you know, Big Bear Mountain, you know. So he didn't want that, he wanted a book. So he said, the reason why we were laughing is because what an arrangement, you know. Here you were, and he said that he was getting into meditation, into spiritual life. And I was asking people, how would you like to have a perfect day? I said, that would be nice. So I said, you take these books, you read them, and then your day will always be perfect. So people with a good sense of humor, they actually appreciate that, you know, a perfect day. Because what is a day to them like? You know, they wake up, drink coffee, they walk their dog. What else? Go to work, they watch TV, they watch Netflix, they watch this and that. And then at the end of the night, they have to repeat and regret their lifestyle. So a perfect day means to wake up, to greet Shri Shri Radha Giridhari, to assemble with the devotees, to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. To cook for the devotees, to cook for the deities, to do our services, and then to go out and give others Krishna consciousness, or Srila Prabhupada's books. And I'll share one funny thing. So my brother and Mahahari Prabhu, they went to Amazon, the warehouse. And he said it looked like a prison. Everyone that worked there, they had see-through vests or jackets and see-through backpacks. because I guess a lot of people, they would steal, some of the items there. And he said most of the people that worked there, they were laid flat on the table. Like when it was their lunch break, they were just so tired. They looked so miserable, So, Srila Prabhupada, he says, in the spiritual world, there's no factories. Right. Okay. Thank you for your time and attention. Is there any questions, comments, corrections?
Yeah, one correction.
Yes.
Chanaka Pandit, who is happy? Someone who's not in debt, and not someone who just stays at home, but someone who doesn't have to go out of home to work. Or he goes out of home and there's his field and he works closely by. So all his commutation, because I heard, I specifically remember this one because probably in a lecture, this is one I've heard years ago and I keep hearing it, that he says people have to travel so far, commute, to go to work. And then he told a story, he started in England and said, yes, they get in a plane in Suffolk and they come down to London to work, And then he mentioned the same thing about getting in a plane in Canada, Montreal, and working in Toronto. I mean, the people who fly, I had no idea. And then he said, people take the train all the way from Long Island to New York, and then it struck a bell because I used to do that when I was a kid. So that was the thing. And there's also one other thing I'd like to just mention because I discovered this when I was working on Bhagavad Gita recently. You mentioned the 4 kind of pious people who do come to Krishna, because we in the last, I think yesterday's purport, there was the 4 kind of people who don't, or maybe this today's purport. So, Chaturvadha bhajante mam jana sukritanojana arto jigyasur artarti gyanicha bharatarshava. So you have, first of all, those who are distressed. That's a big group. Go to God, right? Please relieve my misery. Those who are curious. Then the artarti. The artarti is those who are, as Prabhupada says, those who are in need of money. But as I was looking at it, there's another aspect to that. Those whose purpose in life is making money, is getting rich. Not just the people who don't have 2 pennies to pinch together. Those can be within the suffering group, right? Arto. But these are, and the example given by the acharyas is Dhruva. Dhruva went, Narada Muni, Dhruva was out there to get the kingdom. That was what he was after, So Narada Muni gave him, okay, you do these sacrifices and you chant this mantra and everything. But he's giving him bhakti stuff to do. So by the time he actually had the opportunity, he saw Vishnu. So now can I have my father's kingdom? He said, no, Swami, I don't want any of that anymore. I just want you. But that's a huge group. Those who want to go to heaven, that worship this, that, then they go to God and they pray the same thing. In India, the same. So just to clarify that.
Thank you, Dravid. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna?
Hold on. Vijay
Yes,
Krishna.
I can wait, no problem.
Yes, Sister Dave.
So, it just occurred to me, what would Chanaka Pandit say about people who work remotely? They sit at home all day and they sit in front of the computer and whatever, and they never have to leave the house, but they're working. I mean, is that better, or is it just another trap?
Simple living, I think. You walk out the door, there's your cows.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, the quote from the purport goes as follows, quote, "The Guru should not be approached for material benefits. One should not approach a Guru just to cure some disease or receive some miraculous benefit. This is not the way to approach the Guru," end quote. So based on this quote, I am impelled to say the following in order for me to present my question. People need to eat. People need a house. People need a car. And the quote is saying that a guru is not meant for him to bestow upon you material benefits. So if the guru is not the one who is going to pay for my rent or give me the required money for me to buy my house and buy my car and put food in my stomach and in the stomach of my wife and children. Why? The burning question is, why should I approach him? I don't think that the knowledge he's going to give me will be the same as him giving me the required money for me to maintain body and soul together.
Does he have life control? Does he have life control?
I think he's just using an example. So, you don't approach a skydiving instructor for your disease. You go to the doctor. So if you're looking for material gains, if you're looking to maintain your family, you should search out for someone who is expert in that. But a spiritual master, he is the one that imparts spiritual knowledge. And when I was traveling with my Guru Maharaj, people would ask him, how can I have a good material life and a spiritual life? And Maharaj would just laugh. He said, I'm not going to answer the material part. He said, that's not my duty, that's not my service. So you approach the spiritual master for advancement in Krishna consciousness. And you approach him with humble, like I mentioned, with a humble attitude. And if you want material benefits, there's so many other people who can help you with that. But specifically, a spiritual master or guru is one that enlightens you in spiritual matters. You don't go to him just for your maintenance of family. That's like asking Krishna the wrong things when you're before Krishna on the altar. Okay, Balaram Prabhu, he has something to add.
That's a bit. Well, I guess it's on the same topic.
Yeah, when I've seen when someone approaches my spiritual master, His Holiness Giraj Swami, what he does is they say, "Oh Maharaj, can I have your blessings?" And then he says to them, all right, well, what do you want? And then sometimes, they're kind of caught off guard and they're kind of, okay, well, what do I say? But it's a good question to ask, because if somebody says, oh, can I have your blessings? Okay, well, what do you want? Because it might come like kind of automatic, like somebody, it's like part of the role. Can I have your blessings? Oh yeah, here's my blessings. But he asks, what do you want? And of course, what are they going to say? Usually they'll say something spiritual. They will say something. Whenever I want to be able to focus on the holy name more, or this or that, or whatever it is. So then he just says, okay, well, I'll pray for you. I mean, of course, you have that time where Prabhupada was approached, and then Prabhupada asked the same question and said, what do you want? And the man said, I was on a train. And the man said, oh, well, I have this knee problem. And Prabhupada just... And then the man said, oh, well, my family, this man said, our Prabhupada went like this, no. And then eventually Prabhupada said, oh, you want my blessings? You see these men in the saffron? You should be like them, with the shaved head and then the man said, oh, no, we don't want those blessings, And then they walked away. But anyway.
Thank you, Lord.
One last comment on that. Am I wrong? I think that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's instances where they asked Lord Chaitanya for blessing, and he always gave the same blessing. Krishna matir astu. May you always think of Krishna. Right? Isn't that there? I think it's in the CC. So, because I'm old and I wear orange, some people ask me for blessings over the years, And I always write that. Usually it's in a book or something, Krishna matirastu. That's the best blessing. May you always think of Krishna. And I was thinking of this, is that Prabhupada's, he understood the need for his devotees to have the means of sustenance. And before there were a lot of farms, he said, you can start this business, this spiritual sky incense. If you look at the history, that started in LA. When I joined in New York in '73, there was a branch of it there. My first service was filling up little bottles of fragrant oils that they would sell along with the incense. So the idea is, if devotees get together, they can live in farms, and then the ashram is there. So your material needs are met simply, but you're in the devotional atmosphere, and you're being, that's your main focus. But the material comes. I mean, Christians can provide. That's the whole point. He's providing for the people who don't believe in him. He's going to also provide for what to speak of his devotees. And so that was Prabhupada's, he preached that a lot, that he didn't worry about that, came to America with $7, and a box of books. And yes, it was it was here and there, he went, this whole history, but he was taken care of and the movement flourished. And he would sometimes preach on that basis. I started out with $7, now I have 20 crores, of rupees, there's still plenty of money. In other words, Krishna provides if you surrender.
Thank you, Jagara Prabhu. Is that okay with you, Vijay Krishna Prabhu?
Yes, not only your answer, but also the contribution made by Balaram Prabhu and the outstanding contribution just offered by Dravida Prabhu. Just amazing. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Grand Trust Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.